Now we can 27, part 7. It said two forces whose resultant is 100 Newton are perpendicular to each other. If one of them makes an angle of 60 degrees to with the resultant, calculate the magnitude. They gave us sine 60 to be 0.866 and cos 60 to be 0.5. Now what I want to do now is simply very easy. Now we have the resultant of two vectors to be 100 Newton. The resultant of two vectors, and they said it makes an angle of 60 degrees with one of them. Let's say it make an angle of 60 degrees with this, with the resultant. This is the resultant now, is R. Now they say calculate the magnitude. To calculate magnitude, I think we've talked about magnitude before, so I don't need to waste time. We solved this kind of question before. So the magnitude of R will be along the angle will be cos. So that means R cos theta, meaning that we are going to have 100 cos 60. The magnitude will always be along the angle of inclination. That means the axis where the magnitude will incline with. So that will now give us 100 times 0.5. What I would have 50 Newton. So we have option A 200 Newton, B 173.3.2 Newton, C 115.5 Newton, D 50 Newton. We are going to number 28 now. So that one is D. Number 28, from the laboratory to the staff room to submit a report. That means in a school compound, a girl walks 40 meters due east. In a school, a girl walks 40 meters due east. Is east direction, don't forget. We have the north, the east, the south, and the west. So we walk 40 meters due east from the laboratory to the staff room to submit a report. Then she turns and walks 30 meters due north. She turns and walks 30 meters due north. So this 30 meters due north is north direction. What does happen? Due north to our classroom. Determine the magnitude of the displacement from the laboratory. So that means that this is the diagram. This 30 meters. So this is the diagram, this is the resultant, and this is the direction. So in this case now, for us to find the magnitude of displacement from his laboratory is this angle, this resultant is what we are going to look for. Don't forget, it's between east and north, the resultant. So R square equal to 30 square plus 40 square. So what do we have? You can have it as R square equal to 900 plus 1600. Therefore implies that R is equal to square root of 2500. Don't forget 1600 plus 900 is 2500. That is give us 50. So that will be the displacement from the laboratory. That means 50. If they want us to find the direction, I'll find the direction. This will be the direction, which is 37 degrees. If you solve it, tan inverse of 30 over 40 is 37. So you can take it as east, 37 degree north. If they ask you. Now the next question, 29, is a two strings. This one now is a very technical question. It's a two strings each inclined at an angle of 30 degrees to the horizontal. So two strings, each of them inclined at an angle of 30 degrees to the horizontal. Why do I draw it like this? Let's go further. He said to the horizontal, I used to hold a bucket of water weighing The bucket of water is weighing 20. Weighing 20 Newton. Calculate the tension in each string. The tension here and the tension here will be the same because they are both inclined at equal angle. The only way they can be different is when they are inclined at at different angle. They will be different. But you see, they are inclined at the same angle, they will be the same. Now let's draw a vertical line upward. So this vertical line now will now resolve this one to the horizontal. If you resolve to the horizontal, I would have t cos 30 facing here, this direction. Then here we resolve t sine cos 30 also facing this direction. Then we have what? Resolve upward. We would have what? T sine what? 30. That if you resolve this one to the vertical facing upward, then there will have be t sine 30 also facing upward. Now, having done that, what we are going to do simply is what? The weight will be going down. The weight of the bucket simply will be going down. Don't forget. So say if the weight is going down, simply means that what? We now have what? Two forces up and one what? Down. So if you have two forces going up and one down, if you resolve along the y component, resolving along the y component to be equal to what? 0. So we resolve along, this is equilibrium. For it to hold the bucket, it has to keep the bucket in equilibrium. So therefore, you would have what? T sine 30 plus what? That means sum of the two forces going upward. We add it. Not forget that when two force vectors are moving upward or moving in the same direction, we add. But when they are moving in opposite direction, we subtract. So go and check the analysis we did, quick review of vector analysis. So we add them together against the weight that is going downward. So 20 Newton, but must balance up. That means upward force must be equal to downward force. Upward forces must be equal to downward forces. So in that case, what we're going to do now, these two added together, we have 2t sine 30. If you add it together, so what do we have now? Equal to what? 20 Newton. So sine 30 is 0.5 times 2 is what? Is 1. So t times 1 is t equal to 20 Newton. So that's the final answer there. So option A is what? 20 root 3. B says 20 Newton. C says 10 root 3 Newton. D says 10 Newton. So the answer is what? 20 Newton. Number 30. The resultant of two forces acting on an object is maximum when the angle between them is 0 degree. Option A says what? 180, B 90, C 45, D 0 degree. The answer is D. That is 20,000 Y question number 13. Now, number 31 now. A ship moving northward, number 31. A ship moving northward with speed Vx is acted upon by a wind blowing due west at a speed of Vw. Now, which of the following diagram on the board correctly indicates the Vs of the wind relative to the ship? Now, let me just show you what you're going to do to get your answer for this particular question. Now, watch out for, they said what? The ship moving northward. So, the ship is what? Vs is the velocity of the ship. This is velocity of the ship. So, Vw is velocity of the wind. Velocity of the wind. Then Vr is what? Resultant what? That means Vr, let it be relative what? Velocity. That means velocity of the, that will not be what? The velocity Vr is of wind of the resultant. That means Vr. Or relative velocity with the what? Let me put it this way. Relative what? Velocity of the wind relative to the ship. So let me call it like that. Let me remove this one. Now, I haven't known that this is the what? Velocity of the wind relative to the ship. Now, what I want to do now is that this, just check this one, is it moving north? Yes. This one, is it moving west? Because the second one say what? The velocity of the what? Of the wind blowing due west. Is it moving west? Yes. Then the two of them will be moving in the same direction. So since they are moving in the same direction, is correct. Then the velocity of the what? Of the wind relative to the what? Ship must be going against, which is VR, must be going against the two what velocities. So this one is correct. Now let's check this. This one is not going north, it's going south, so it's wrong. Option C, this one is going what? West, east. Why this one is going north? This one is also wrong. This one is what? Going south. Why this one is going west? The only correct one, this one is wrong. So this. So the answer to that question is A. Let's go to what? 32. Two forces, 6 Newton and 8 Newton, act east and northwards respectively. So that is to say, we have a diagram to draw, because now two what forces, 6 Newton and 8 Newton, act what? East one, the first one is 6 Newton, then the next one is what? 8 Newton. One is eastward, one is northward, respectively. On a body, calculate the magnitude of the what? Of their equilibrant. Now, equilibrant is what? Opposite of what? Of equilibrium in direction, but equal what? Equilibrium is what? Equal in magnitude. In magnitude with what? With resultant. So what I'm going to do now is what? Let me find the resultant. So if I find the resultant, this is the direction of the resultant. Now equilibrant will be what? If I extend this will be your equilibrant. So that means that what I'm saying now is that I will look for my equilibrant here, but it must be equal in magnitude with what? With R. So what I'm going to do now to find R square equal to what? Now this place is what? 8 Newton, because here is equal to this place. I'm moving upward. This one is what? East. So that means 6 square plus what? 8 square. So what we have? R square equal to what? 36 plus what? 64. So what would do? R equal to square root of what? 36 plus what? 64. That will give us square root of what? 100. So that will give me what? 10 what? Newton. So that means the equilibrant is 10 Newton. The resultant is also 10 Newton. Don't forget, this will be the direction of the equilibrant. This is the direction of the what? Resultant. So this direction, which will be opposite. Now, this one will fall between west and what? And south. While resultant will fall between east and what? North. So now, let's find the what? To calculate the what? The magnitude, this is magnitude 10 Newton. So the magnitude of the equilibrant is 10 Newton. But if they ask you for direction, this will be your direction. You just find what? Tan theta equals to what? 8/6. Then from there, you can now what? Theta equal to tan inverse of what? 4/3. Then you can now look for what? Which will give us what? 53 approximately. You can press your calculator, you get it. So 53, this one will be 53. So at the end of the day, what you are going to be having, if you want to find the direction, sorry for that. If you want to find the direction, you are going to have what? West 53 degree what? North. Or you have it as what? 53 degree north of west. You can also what? Have it as what? 37, which is balanced part. This is a complete part, complement of the angle. To complement it, which is what will now be what? Starting from south, because the angle is resting on south. So south what? Going between west and north and south. So it's resting on south 37. So south 37 degree what? West. Or we take it as what? Sorry, this one should be what? South. So we take it as what? 37 degree what? West of south. So any of them will not be the direction. So of that question, if they ask us for direction, but the magnitude of the resultant is same as equilibrium. So the answer is what? Option A is what? 2 Newton, B 7 Newton, C 10 Newton, D 14 Newton. So the answer to that question is 10 Newton. Let's go to number 33. He said a body of mass 20 kg is set in motion by two forces, 3 Newton and 4 Newton, acting at right angle to each other. Determine the magnitude of acceleration of what? Determine the magnitude of each acceleration. So I want you to solve, to try this number 12 question. Very easy. So you try it and send your answer to the comment section. So that is 1997 question 3. Try it and what? Send your answer to the comment section. Let's go to the next one, number what? 34. So 33, you try it and let's see what you are going to get for that question. Please don't forget to use your R resultant equal to MA. Whenever you get after getting your resultant for that number 33, equate it to be equal to MA. Solve for the acceleration. Very easy. Now we have a diagram here. And the diagram, what? One is what? Here, 20 Newton. The other one is what? 10 Newton. And the down one is what? Let's say 6 Newton as given to us. Then this is 17 Newton. This is the diagram. They say what? 4 coplanar forces of magnitude 10 Newton, 17 Newton, 6 Newton, and 20 Newton act at a point as shown in the diagram on the board. Now determine the what? The magnitude of the resultant force. Now the magnitude of the what? Resultant force. How do we find the magnitude of the resultant force? When two forces are moving in opposite direction, we say that you subtract. When they are moving in opposite direction, subtract. But when they are moving in the same direction, you add them together. Now we know that 10 Newton is going upward, 6 Newton is going downward. What will happen is that we subtract these two. So the overall resultant force along the vertical will be what? Will be 4 Newton upward, because 10 Newton is higher than 6 Newton. That one is clear. Now we have 17 Newton here to the left, 20 Newton to the right. You subtract. The bigger one is what? 20 minus 17 will give us what? 3. And to the right hand side. So this is 3 Newton. Now what do we do now? To find the resultant according to the question is to what? Draw what? This is the resultant. Then balance the angle, which is 4 Newton. Here is now 3 Newton. So what do we do now to get our answer? We find the resultant, R square equal to 4 square plus 3 square, in which you have R equal to what? 16 plus 9. Then R equal to square root of 25. So R square is equal to 16 plus 9. Then R is equal to square root. By taking square root of both sides, the answer is 5 Newton. So the resultant is 5 Newton. A says what? 53.0 Newton. B 21.0 Newton. C 7.0 Newton. D 5.0 Newton. The answer is D. That is the answer. 35. Two forces, 3 Newton and 4 Newton, act on a body in the direction of north, due north, and due east respectively. Calculate the equilibrium. This question is the same thing with question 32 rather. Question 32. So when you solve that question, you will see. Now what you want to do now for that question 35, you not to waste your time. Now they say two forces, 3 Newton. One is what? 3 Newton and 4 Newton act on a body directly, north, due north, and due east. Which one is due north? Due north is what? 3 Newton. And due what? East is what? 4 Newton. According to what? The question. Now, they now say what? Calculate their equilibrium. So what you're going to do now, this is the resultant, and this is the equilibrium. So just find the angle here. So this one now is the resultant. This is the equilibrium. This is the direction of the equilibrium. So that's what we are looking for. So what you are going to do is simply what? Calculate the resultant. Resultant is going to give us 5 Newton, which we've done several questions on that. That's I don't want to waste my time or waste your time on that. Just use your R square plus equal to what? 4 square plus 3 square. Then R is equal to square root of 25, which will give 5 Newton, which is equilibrium is 5 Newton. The resultant is also what? 5 Newton. Now, having done that, Well, how do you get your direction? So just take what? Tan theta, this direction, equal to what? This is 3, don't forget, because they are equal, upward. That means 3 Newton. So that means 3 Newton divided by 4 Newton. And theta equal to tan inverse of what? 3 over 4. And that will give us what? 37 degree. So press your calculator, you have 0.75. Tan inverse of 0.75 is what? 37 degree. Then when you have your this angle to be 37 degree, and here will also be what? 37 degree, because there will be opposite angle are equal. Vertically opposite angle are equal. So here will be 37 degree. Here will also be what? 37 degree. Quickly, let's play with it. Now this one will now be what? This is south and this is west. Don't forget that you have to go to your option. We have what? We can use what? This side, which is the complement of 37, which is 53. Yeah, because everything here is 90 degree. So we can have an answer as what? South 53 degree what? West, or we have it as what? West 37 degree what? South. Anyone which is what? 53 degree west of south, or what? 37 degree what? South of west, with what? The magnitude to be 5 Newton, magnitude here to be 5 Newton. So any of them you want to choose, either this or this is correct. Now that is what? The equilibrant. Why the resultant will have been what? Not is 37 degree where is 37 degree north. Your this north is east. Is 37 degree what? North, or 37 degree north of east, or 53 degree, which is this side, north, 53 degree east, or 53 degree east of north, if you are using the resultant. So this is the equivalent. So option A says 5 Newton, 53 degree what? West of south, which is correct. West of south. Option B said what? A says, A says 5 Newton, 53 degree east of north. No, wrong answer. B, 5 Newton, 53 degree west of south. Correct. C, 5 Newton, that is 7 degree north of east. I think that is talking about resultant. Not D, 7 Newton, 37 degree west of what? North. The answer is what? B. 36, which is second to the last question. A boy traveling 8 kilometers what? Eastward to a point B. 8 kilometers eastward to a point B. A boy traveling 8 kilometers eastward to a point B. So 8 kilometers east to a point B, that is what? Yes. And then 6 kilometers what? Northward to another point C. 6 kilometers northward to another point C. So that means that if I draw the starting point to what? This is north, east, south, west. So this one, it draw what? Another 8 was 6 kilometers what? To that direction, until you get to point what? C. Because it moved from A to, from beginning, from here to B, then to C. And then 6 kilometers northward to another point C. Determine the difference between the magnitude, determine the difference between the magnitude of displacement, the boy, of displacement of the boy, the magnitude of displacement of the boy, and the distance traveled by him. So the second to the last question now before we round up. So this one will not be what? The starting point. I will draw a line to touch the sea. That is displacement for you, because displacement is measured from the starting point. So this is the displacement. So how do we get the displacement now? So you take what? D square equal to what? C square plus what? 8 square. We play with it. This one will give us what? 36 plus what? 64 equal to what? D. So square. This one will now be what? D equal to what? Square root of 100, which is equal to 10 what? Kilometer. So that means the displacement is 10 kilometers. But the distance is the movement of the body from here to this place, meaning that as he move, how many distance does he cover if he move from A to C? So that means it is algebraic summation, algebraic addition. So this is displacement, while the distance is what? Will now be what? 8 kilometer plus what? 6 kilometer. That will give us 14 kilometer. So that is the distance. But what they are asking us is difference between the magnitude of displacement the boy and the distance traveled by the boy. The difference, so the difference now will now be what? Difference will equal to what? 14 kilometer minus 10 kilometer. We therefore have what? 4 kilometer as our answer. Option A say 2 kilometer, B 4 kilometer, C 10 kilometer, and D 14 kilometer. So the correct option for that particular question is 4 kilometer. The correct option is 4 kilometer. Lastly, the 37, which is the last question for part 6. Don't forget to subscribe if you are enjoying this video. You must learn how to solve questions very fast. You must be fast, you must be accurate, and you must be consistent. You must be fast, you must be accurate, and you must be consistent to pass any examination and do excellently well. Now let's go to the next one. Please, if you like it, if you enjoy the class, please just click the subscribe button if you are just watching it for the first time. And if you have been watching us watching all my videos, please, thank you very much. God bless you for always watching my video. God bless you. Thank you. Now, the next question, which is the last one for this part, before we now talk about relative velocity or talk about Fermat analysis in our next video, please always follow up. Now, the component of vectors Q and R are the component of vectors of Q and R. What is R? Q is what? Minus 3.0.5. Then R is what? R is equal to what? 9.2, 4.4. What they say we should find respectively. So determine the component of Q plus R. Q plus R means the resultant. The component of vectors Q is this and R is this respectively. They say determine the component of what? Q plus R. So what we're going to do in vector Q is what? Can be written as 3.0i plus 5.5j. Xi is what? Unit vector. J is unit vector. So that means the two of them, you can write this is a vector form. This is a coordinate form of writing this vector. So R is equal to the coordinate form can be written as 9.2i plus 4.4j. Now, if you do that, you can now add them together as Q plus R will now be equal to what? Add this together, we have 6.2i. Then add this together, we are going to have 9.9j. The check I've not been using calculator because you have to work with speed and accuracy. You have to learn and solve a lot of questions, especially this level, so that you can be able to finish on time. Now, lastly, this is our answer. But if they ask you for magnitude, of the of Q plus R, you'll have just take 6.6 plus 9.9 square. So that's what you have done. But in this case now, our answer for Q plus R is equal to, if you want to represent it in coordinate form, this is coordinate in coordinate form, it is 6.2, 9.9. But in vector form, that means in IJK form, this is the answer. So this is how they present the answer in the option. So we go for this. So option A say what? 3.7, 7.4. B says 6.2, 9.9. Correct answer. C say what? No need to read others. So the answer to that question is option B. That question is 2021 YA question 28. I remain Engineer Holiday. Thank you very much for watching our video and for subscribing. God bless you.